This is Sarah Louise Hillam. Since 2018 this young woman has been making my life a living hell. She has made 3 harassment claims against me. The first harassment claim made it to a full trial at Swansea Magistrates Court and was thrown out because the police and the CPS had no proof of any harassment ever having taken place. Sarah Hillam was shown to have committed perjury 3 times during cross-examination. So far Sarah Hillam has got away with it. South Wales police have ignored Sarah Hillam's perjuries and refused to take any action against Sarah Hillam, despite there being overwhelming evidence that proves Sarah Hillam has committed perjury in a police MG11 witness statement. This statement was submitted to the trial at Swansea Magistrates Court. Proven perjury comes with an automatic prison sentence. Practice direction, pre-action conduct and protocols. These are the rules everyone must follow before making a civil claim. There is a long list of things you must do before making a civil claim. For example, sending the defendant letters that outline your claim and offering a resolution, such as a chance to use mediation. These letters, depending on how complicated the claim is, can be quite lengthy. With every civil claim these rules must be followed exactly, or close to well enough, or the case will be struck out. At the start of the first harassment claim, the police came to visit me and said my letters were harassing Sarah Hillam. I pointed out to the police my letters were a part of the protocols before taking someone to the civil court. I also told the police this was a civil matter. During my interrogation the lady police officer asked me if I thought my letters could be upsetting to Sarah Hillam. I said no. You see, this was a trick question. If I had said yes, that would have been taken as a confession to my knowingly and purposely harassing Sarah Hillam. The facts are such letters are a basic threat of if you do not pay me what you owe me, I will take you to court. It is possible that some people may find that upsetting. It is the very nature of the beast, I am afraid. But that in itself does not amount to harassment, because it is a part of the protocols that must be followed before a civil claim. It is obvious to see why a snowflake police officer would not understand this concept. During the trial my solicitor asked the lady police officer, "Do you know the difference between a threatening letter and a letter sent as a part of a civil action?" The police officer replied, "I can't answer that." My solicitor had to point out to the lady police officer my letters were a part of a civil matter and not in any way threatening. A few days after the first harassment claim had been thrown out of court, I returned to sending letters to Erin and Sarah Hillam in the protocols before taking them to civil court. Then a few days later, there was a knock on my door. I opened the door. Standing in front of me was a male police officer. He said, "Can I come in?" I invited him in and asked him to sit down. The officer said, "I'm here about a report of harassment." I was confused and said, "That's all been dealt with." He then said, "No, Sarah Hillam has made a second harassment claim about the letters you have been sending her." I was a bit stunned by this. I said, "You can't be fracking serious." I became very angry and told the officer to get out of my house. He asked me to calm down. When I said my letters are a part of the civil court protocols for frack's sake. I yelled, "It's a civil matter." I told him to get the frack out of my house immediately. Reluctantly he stood up and moved to the door. Before leaving he asked me to come down the station voluntarily to make a statement. I said, "You can frack off, I'm going nowhere." Then he left. I was reeling in utter disbelief. But yes, she had made a second harassment claim against me. In the meantime my wife and I had moved back to our bungalow. I slowly forgot about the second harassment claim. I had even stopped trying to take them to court for the refurbishments. But I did start a civil claim against Erin and Sarah Hillam for the replacement of carpets at the bungalow. I may go into more details later about the carpets. But to be honest, I am so sick and tired of all of this. If it were not for the massive injustice of it all, I am sure I would have let it go a long time ago. Not long after I sent the Hillams the protocol letters for my civil carpet claim, the policeman turned up at my door again. This time he had a second officer with him and a taser gun on his hip. My wife invited the police officers into the bungalow. The officer asked me to come down the station with him voluntarily to make a statement. I said, "Call me again in a few days. I'll think about it." My wife and I discussed what could be going on, and my wife said it can't be just for the letters, there has to be something the police are not saying to you. I agreed and said, "Okay, I'll go to the station when he calls." The police officer called and we arranged for a meeting at the station. I gathered the court papers from the first harassment and I was ready for this meeting. I had even made a statement explaining all the lies and proven perjury that had gone on during the first harassment claim at the trial. But that was ignored. I was swiftly cautioned and placed in front of a camera and recording device. Then the interrogation started. The police officer claimed I had sent Erin and Sarah Hillam 20 letters. But he only asked me if I recognized a few of my latest letters. I realized that the officer was including the letters from the first harassment claim, the ones that were deemed to be a part of a civil claim. But once again, I was made to point out to yet another snowflake police officer the differences between harassing letters and letters sent as a part of the civil protocols. But naturally all this washed over him like soap bubbles on a baby's bum. Nothing stuck. Then we got to the naughty bits that Sarah Hillam was claiming. Sarah claimed someone had keyed their car and cut some wires to a CCTV camera. Also someone had posted a sheet of paper with the words "Die bitch die" on it. Naturally Sarah Hillam put my name forward as the culprit. I asked what has that got to do with me, and the police officer said you are suspected to have done it. I pointed out to the police officer for a second time all the lies Sarah Hillam had said in her MG11 witness statement of being outside Sarah Hillam's home. And over his poor little head it all went for a second time. His eyes seemed to go blank, and it was like he had heard it all before. I asked if there was any proof this time, and apparently there was a video. But it was of such poor quality it showed nothing. I was told by police officer Snowflake. I was cautioned, and when it came to "have you anything to say" part, I started to recite all the lies in the MG11 witness statement. The police officer started writing, but when he realized what I was doing it crumpled the paper up and threw it in the bin. This time there were no bail restrictions and I was free to go home. But I was told the matter would be going to the CPS. Here we go again, I thought. In the meantime, my civil claim for the carpets had been sent to Swansea Civil Court for a hearing. On 1st August 2019 at a directions hearing, Sarah Hillam stood up in court and gave verbal evidence to the district judge. Sarah Hillam said,
"The defendant. Yes, basically, since the harassment started in 2018, obviously I had to give birth to my daughter early, which caused her health problems. She nearly died when she was born due to the stress I was under."
In making this verbal statement in evidence, Sarah Hillam was making reference to the first harassment claim. Sarah Hillam makes the claim her newborn daughter almost died at birth from the stress she was made to suffer from, a proven non-existent harassment claim. Sarah Hillam just lied directly to the district judge's face. That was a masterful move on the part of Sarah Hillam, who is a proven and well-practiced manipulative narcissist liar. To prove this as being true, Sarah Hillam only has to provide some medical evidence from her GP. But Sarah Hillam is unable to or simply refuses to prove her statement. Why? Because it is a lie. The truth is, at the time of her pregnancy, Sarah Hillam was an obese person. Being obese during pregnancy put the unborn child in a lot of danger. This often results in premature birth and poor health or possibly deformity in the child. Sarah Hillam, simply being a fatter than usual person, placed her unborn child in a great deal of danger. There simply was no stress from any harassment. The first harassment claim was proven to have never happened. For Sarah Hillam to have told such a despicable lie in using her child as a manipulative tool should tell you all you will ever want or need to know about Sarah Hillam. I received a letter stating that Sarah Hillam's second harassment claim had been taken into consideration by the CPS, and they deemed there to be insufficient evidence for a conviction. So the CPS returned a ruling of no further action. When looking at each case, the CPS are obliged to take common sense into account. On the CPS website it states, "Common sense should also guide prosecutors at all levels when deciding the appropriate course of action. They should stand back from the particular facts of the case and look at the alleged offending in the context of everyday life. Applying the letter of the criminal law to the facts of each individual case is, of course, entirely appropriate, but so is looking at the alleged offending in the round and identifying the right disposal in the circumstances. This basically means placing claims or events into the correct context is vital, as not everything is in fact offensive. This is in fact a basic rule of life, which is totally lost on snowflakes, who find everything offensive. Such snowflakes can include police officers, who it would seem lack any semblance of common sense. Shortly after the NFA letter, the snowflake police officer arrived at my home. Once again he brought with him a second officer. As we sat down he said, with a big beaming smile, The CPS has returned a no further action order. I told him I had received the letter. I then asked him what action he is going to take against Sarah Hillam. He went very pale and spluttered. Well, nothing. I said, not even wasting police time. With that, the second officer said, we got to go. I just had an emergency call over my radio. They both ran out of my house as if it was on fire. As they swiftly marched down the driveway, I shouted, "You're not interested in the truth, are you?" They separated and went to their individual cars. Yes, 2 cars, a car each. I shouted to Snowflake, "You had a taser last time. If you had shot me with that, you would have killed me. I have a serious heart problem, and a blast from a taser would do serious damage or even kill me." He got into his car and drove off at speed. I made a complaint to the IOPC, but as usual that was a total waste of everyone's time. There are now 2 examples where the police officers and their respective superiors have neglected to perform their duty in a manner that can be deemed as being correct. What are the responsibilities of the British police? The purpose of the police service is to uphold the law fairly and firmly, to prevent crime, to pursue and bring to justice those who break the law, to keep the Queen's peace, to protect, help and reassure the community, and to be seen to do this with integrity, common sense and sound judgment. In both of Sarah Hillam harassment claims, the police have failed miserably to do a proper investigation, and more obviously neglected to do their duty and bring a criminal to justice. That criminal being Sarah Louise Hillam. Sarah Louise Hillam has been proven to have committed perjury in court. Sarah Louise Hillam has been proven to have told many lies in her MG11 witness statement. So far, Sarah Louise Hillam offers absolutely no evidence to back up her many harassment claims, such as her alleged stress from 2 harassment claims that never actually existed, her child being born premature and almost having died because of the stress from a non-existent harassment. The evidence that proves Sarah Louise Hillam to be a very cruel, narcissistic, manipulative liar and a criminal is overwhelming. Sarah Louise Hillam should be serving a jail sentence. Yet the police refuse to act upon it. The question is, why? To offer a personal guess at why the police are afraid to take action against Sarah Hillam. I personally feel the police cannot take any action against Sarah Hillam, because if they do, all of their very obvious derelictions of duty will be fully exposed for all the world to see, coupled with a large compensation claim. Could it be the police are more worried about their reputation than actually doing their job? But let's be brutally honest here, this is a mess of the police's own creation. If the police actually did take action, they would be only confirming to the public just how worthless they truly are, if indeed any confirmation is needed or required. But actually aiding and abetting a proven criminal in getting away with a crime is counter to the very existence of the police. The police have no realistic excuses for not taking action against Sarah Hillam. No realistic excuses at all. So in doing so, the police are criminals themselves. Forget complaining to the IOPC. They are a waste of taxpayers' money. The acronym IOPC means Intend, Obscuring, Police, Corruptions,